Thank you for thank you for coming. Um, we're going to start in about 2 minutes. So,
Worry about mess or no mess?
are you okay if you're okay sitting like this? I mean, whatever you're comfortable
Yeah.
with. I think when you're speaking, it's easier to take off your mask. If you want to keep it or not keep it during, you can do it.
Right. Okay.
Uh,
So if you don't mind, can I? Sorry. If you don't mind, you can wear mask. I will because that is for myself.
you can keep your
It's
mask
our
on.
rule for organization. Agree. Yeah.
Entirely whatever makes you feel comfortable. But when I'm speaking, I'll probably have my mask on.
Oh, okay. Because you're far from us, it's okay.
2 meters away. Uh,
ใส่ดีกว่า
so if you're alright with the order, I'll ask you to speak first.
Sure.
I'll speak next. And I'll ask you to say something about yourself.
Yep. ครับ
Okay.
มีคุณสุเมธติดเก๋ก็เลยให้ผมมาแทน
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us at the Foreign Correspondents Club of Thailand. Apologies for the slight delay in starting this event. We're having some internet issues, so if you're following us online, you can certainly follow us on Facebook Live. It seems to be okay. It seems to be working smoothly. If you have some issues, please go to the YouTube, the FCCT events page on YouTube, and we're going to broadcast live there as well. And that seems to be working a little bit better. Just so anybody who's following us online, I will repeat this a couple of times during the event because we don't know exactly what people are, when it might break up. But we hope that you have a smooth viewing experience. If for some reason you don't, and you'd still like to see the event, it is being recorded, and that won't be an issue, and it will be put up immediately after the event or by tomorrow morning at the very latest on the YouTube channel. My name is Vincent Richard Vatican. I am a member of the programming committee here at the FCCT. And tonight we are very lucky to have a very distinguished and very expert panel to discuss Thai tourism. As many of you know, as all of you know, the last 2 years have been really difficult for tourism in particular, and in a country like Thailand that's been so dependent on tourism exchange and the tourism industry. And as many of you know as well, there have been a number of attempts to reopen the country, bring tourists back in a safe manner, and they have been more or less successful in doing just that. But as the health situation has changed, those conditions have changed. Sometimes it's been easier, sometimes there have been more restrictions and more complications to get into the country. And so we have a fantastic panel to discuss what happens next now that things look like countries across the region are easing restrictions and making it easier to enter the country with fewer or and sometimes no requirements whatsoever. Is Thailand headed in that direction, and how are we going to get there? So I will ask my panelists maybe to introduce themselves first very quickly, and starting not in the order that they're speaking, but from the person closest to me. Jackson, would you please introduce yourself?
Evening, everybody. So I'm Jackson Ferguson. I'm the Vice President Commercial for SHR. We're a subsidiary company of Singa Estate, and we own and operate 38 hotels around the world.
Would you mind taking off your mask just when you're speaking?
Sure.
Sorry.
Evening, everybody. I'm Jackson Ferguson. Better? Okay. So I'm the Vice President Commercial for SHR. It's a subsidiary company of Singa Estate. We have 38 hotels globally that we own and operate, 4 of them in Thailand, with 1 in Phuket, 1 in Phi Phi, and 2 in Koh Samui. So very excited to be here. Nice to see all of you.
Thank you so much. Can I just say that if you'd rather, I mean, we're just getting back to public events here. We are still as far as possible. We're trying to social distance. If you are more comfortable, I can leave you this mic if you'd like to speak. If from here, and take off your mask just while you're speaking. If the table is a little bit crowded already, we've been trying. We try not to do panels of more than 3 or 4, but anyway. So up to you if you'd like to speak.
Yes, please. Thanks. Okay.
Just for a moment. Thank you so much.
Evening, everyone. I'm Sri Pakon Chiasamut, the Deputy Governor of Tourism Authority of Thailand, in charge for the marketing communications. And then the Tourism Authority of Thailand is under the Ministry of Tourism and Sport. We have 29 overseas offices around the world, and then 45 domestic offices throughout Thailand. So really, thank you for having TAT in this panel as well. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Next, Max.
Hi everyone, good evening. My name is Max Buntawi Jantasuwan, the Vice President of the Thailand Incentive Convention Association, or TICA. So we have been in the industry over 35 years with over 550 members around Thailand. And we actually been supporting mostly the member from hotel, DMC or Destination Management Company. So we are here to support mostly the private sector who in MICE or Meeting and Incentive Convention Association exhibition business. So very nice to be here and happy to share some of the insight and what activities that TICA and our partner actually TCEP has been doing for the readiness for welcoming back the MICE tourists into Thailand again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And non from Thai Airways.
Good evening. My name is Non Kalinta, Chief Commercial Officer of Thai Airways International.
Thank you very much. I think just some housekeeping things before we start. So hopefully the internet connection is smooth enough for you to follow this online. If you are online and you want to ask some questions, please feel free to post them to the Facebook Live comments, and we have somebody in the room who is monitoring the questions. If for some reason that doesn't work, you can try and message me through any of the social media. I'll be looking at my phone, but Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm on a number of social media, and we'll try to follow that. And if you're in the room and you're going to have a question, we will set up a mic at the end of the presentations, and there will be plenty of time for Q&A at the end of the presentations. Thank you very much. Would you like to speak from here? And that way, if you
All right, that's great then. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. So to be honest with you, this kind of the organization rules that we always keep on wearing the mask in the public area at the moment. So thank you and for your kind of inconvenience again, to use this podium to speak. All right. I love that name. Okay. Thank you, Khun Vincent, for the nice introductions. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Sripakorn, the Deputy Governor of Marketing, Communication, Tourism of Thailand. I'm very happy to be here to share some information in terms of the Thailand tourism situations after almost 2 years of the pandemic, COVID-19 happening. And then we are in the stage of recovery stage. We are going to easing the restrictions approved by the government later on, and what was happening in the past 2 years. So let me just share you with the PowerPoint presentation. And also at the end of my speech, I have one short video clip regarding the special occasion of this year, Visit Thailand Year 2022, amazing new chapters of Thailand. So there will be 2 minutes video clip later after my speech. Thank you very much. So let's start with the PowerPoint, Thailand Tourism Update. All right. Let me just show you with the first pictures, overview of the tourism situation in Thailand last year. If you could remember, on January last year, 2021, we working, in cooperation with Thai Airways International, the gentleman here, we're trying to sell the kind of happy quarantine package. We call Amazing Thailand Happy Quarantine Package on the, January. That time, the tourists still have to undergo the quarantine for 14 nights stay in the hotel. And then we're going to subsidize them with the kind of, half-day tour at when the COVID-19 is not that, the numbers and the vaccination herd immunity is not that rich, the numbers at like at the moment. So that time, January to June, we're trying to sell the happy quarantine package, but it's not that, went very well. As you may know, if they come to Thailand and they have to stay quarantined for 14 nights stay, it's very hard to sell, but we need to do something. We need to carry on the tourism promotions to help and subsidize the local businesses in the tourism industry. So that's the result of the first half of the year last year. From January to June, the blue bar graph, you can see numbers of 40,000. That means 40,000 international travelers visit to Thailand from January to June last year. Then we proposed the different approach to the government. The city marketing campaign start with the island approach of the Phuket Sandbox. Once we vaccinated the local people on the island up to the herd immunity percentage of 70% that time, then we reopened Phuket Sandbox for the first time on the 1st of July. And that time, as you can see, the numbers of visitors in the past 4 months, July, August, September, October, altogether it's about 65,000 passengers. But you know what? On the very first flight with Thai Airways as well, landed on the island, we saw a lot of the new segmentations. The members of family, the real families, from in particular from the Europeans, Middle East, went to Phuket Sandbox. When the COVID-19 is still spreading out throughout the world, but they still trust and then come to Thailand for their family holidays. We saw a couple of active seniors as well, and solo traveler, young generation, went to Phuket Sandbox, 65,000. And then from those 65,000, just to let you know, what about the infection rates? We detected only 200 passengers, and mostly of the detected positive at the airport, because they test RT-PCR at the hotel, at the airport, and then seal transportation to the hotel. And when the result came out negative, they're free to go. We detected about 200, by these 4 months. That means only 0.03%. It's a really low infected rate because they are fully vaccinated. They are from the eligible countries by that time. And then they have to test RT-PCR 22 hours before boarding the plane to Thailand. So that is why the next phase is coming, the recovery phase. Once we reopen Phuket Sandbox Samui Plus model and then the Phuket Phang Krabi extensions, we start the new scheme of test and go on the 1st of November. What does test and go mean? You test only one test when you arrival, and then you stay only, if your test came out, the negative test result came out, that means you're free to go. That's why we call test and go. Only test at the airport or at the designated hotel by that time. And look at the numbers increasing dramatically. I mean, it's good to the destination like Phuket and some other destinations as well. November alone is 91,000, even more than, the 4 months for Phuket Sandbox. December, things is getting easing. The government are trying to easing more restrictions. The herd immunity vaccination rate is getting better and better in Thailand throughout the world. So the numbers is jump into the 230,000 passengers to Phuket and throughout the countries. And then look at the total numbers, it's 427, almost 428,000 travelers to Thailand last year, in total. And these are the numbers of international tourists only, not include the Thai tourists or the expats who live here in Thailand, which about 30% of the Thai and expats who live in Thailand returning home here in Thailand. So, and then the new variant of virus coming, as you could remember, the Delta virus, the Omicron is coming. So that's why they temporary suspension of test and go due to the Omicron variant. The number is dropped dramatically as well, 233,000. And who are they? Why? Because we suspend the test and go platform, but why they're still coming to Thailand? Because we allow those who got the QR code for Thailand Pass, for those who already got the QR code Thailand Pass, with approximately about 200,000 by that time, still eligible to enter to Thailand. So that's why it's still the number of over 100,000 on January. February, things is better and better. Number is increasing to 15,000. And then starting from earlier this month, the 1st of March, there are more easing the restrictions, no more RT-PCR tests on the day 5, just only on the day 1 when you arrival, and RT-PCR before you arrive Thailand. So the number is getting better and better. That is the actual numbers to Thailand in the past 3 months. Accumulated number of January, February, March is more than the whole years of 2021. It's more than 450,000 at least for the first quarter only. That is the kind of the actual numbers. What about the demand sentiments? What about the futures? At the moment, every single passenger needs to apply for Thailand Pass platform, the system. We look at the dashboard of the Thailand Pass from the 1st up to today of March. We got over 400,000 applicants to the Thailand Pass. So that means at least 400,000 travelers will be visiting to Thailand in the next 60 days, because they are 60 days in advance. That is the numbers of the demand sentiments, and the new airlines like Thai Airways International are increasing the number of the airlines to Thailand as well. That is the overview of Thailand tourism situation. And what next slide, please. And what about the top 5 countries for this month, March, from the 1st to 24 March, after 3 weeks plus on March 22nd? Singapore is number 1 for this month. Singapore is not just the Singaporean, but also the expats who live in Singapore visit Thailand, Germany, UK, followed by United States, and also France. That is the top 5. We used to have last year, number 1, last month, February. In February last year was number 1 because in the season. The reason because in the season is still winter in Europeans, and then last year is still number 1 last month, but at the moment it's out of the season. It's not just the conflict issues, but it's also about the season of the travel as well. So next, please. And what about new entry measures? According to the CCSA meeting on the 18th of March, they approved the new entry measures, easing restrictions. The international arrival, we no longer have to show the pre-departure RT-PCR test. So that means there is only one RT-PCR test up on arrival that traveler need to undergo, only one test at the moment. And then the RT-PCR testing on arrival day 1 plus self-etiquette test on day 5. With the download of application Moshana English version, there will be the notification to remind the traveler that this is day 5 already. Are you okay? Everything is under control, and then please feel free to test the self-etiquette and report the result back to the motion applications. And reduce the mandatory stay in sandbox area to 5 days as well. There are big questions. If the test and go scheme is went quite well, increasing numbers of the traveler, why sandbox is still there? Why don't we cancel the sandbox? To be honest with you, sandbox is still marketable in some particular area of Thailand. Since the opening of Phuket sandbox, the kind of the heading of sandbox is perception is good for Thailand at that time. And then at the moment they have sandbox promotion package. For instance, if you stay 6 nights and you get the 7 night free, 1 more night free. If you stay 7 nights, free welcome dinner, free spa treatment, for instance. And they're still marketable, but the number is less and less. So that's why the sandbox is still there, and then reducing to 5 days, not 7 days as before. And then what about the quarantine period, 5 days, and undergo 1 RT-PCR test on day 4 and 5? That means alternative quarantine. For those who are unvaccinated or not meet the requirements of the test and go sandbox, they have to undergo the AQ, alternative quarantine. And now it's only 5 days stay in the hotel and do only 1 test on day 4 or day 5 with the RT-PCR. If your test result is negative, you're free to go again. So that means we welcome every single passengers, for the fully vaccinated or not. It doesn't matter with the scheme of Thailand, with test and go, sandbox, and alternative quarantine. And then the medical insurance coverage remain the same at $20,000. But it's any kind of the travel insurance is fine, it's good. You can submit those to Thailand Pass. And the test and go scheme, back to the previous page, please. It's not just only for mode of one single mode of transportation, airlines, by air only. It's applied to the test and go by land and by sea as well. What is by land, test and go? The borders of Malaysia, Laos, PDRs, they are going to open border very soon, I think tomorrow, according to their plan, the 1st of April, they're going to open the border, the border crossing between Thailand, Malaysia, Thailand and Laos PDRs. So we allow the test and go by land as well with the same conditions, 1 RT-PCR test, 1 night stay over land. And then at the moment we open in Nong Khai and Songkhla, Hat Yai. That's the 2 cross border. But Nong Khai including Udon Thani province as well. That means you can cross Laos border and stay over 1 night stay in Udon Thani. What the numbers? We granted that scheme since the 1st of March, but the first passenger who crossed the border by land from Laos on the 7th of March. At the moment, we got almost 1,000 of Laos and also expats who living in Laos, and also the Thai who living there, the expat cross the border. But the number will be increasing because it's a very few, very less number, but we are quite optimistic because Laos and Malaysia are going to open the border tomorrow. Both of the countries are going to open their borders for to cross the border by land tomorrow. And what about the test and go by sea? At the moment, the yacht and super yacht are eligible to visit Thailand under test and go scheme as well. That means they arrive, the the kind of the pier in Thailand, and they have to stay at the hotel inland or one night stay on the yacht or their own super yacht for only one night and do RT-PCR test, and then they're free to go after that when the result came out as well. At the moment, there are two ports of Thailand welcome the yacht and super yacht, one in Phuket, Ao Pier, the other one in Ocean Marina in Pattaya. They're going to increase to Samui, Tao and Phangan, tomorrow as well. And then what about the big ships like the cruise, the tourism cruise? They're going to allow and approve for the cruise by 1st of May. So there will be one month to go to welcome the cruise. In particular, the Singapore ambassador, His Excellency, in talk with Tourism Authority of Thailand and also Ministry of Tourism and Sport to promote the cruise traveler from Singapore to Thailand starting from the 1st of May. That is the new entry measures. But anyway, to be honest with you, if the situation is getting better and better, I think the government are going to easing more restrictions, and then we got the high hope if the situation continues to subside very soon, in particular after the Thailand Songkran New Year, if everything is getting lower numbers and not that big cluster here in Thailand, the government plans to ease the entry measure in the coming months. Coming months, that means could be May, could be June, or the latest is July. So that means the latest is the 1st of July. They're going to easing all restrictions according to the Ministry of Public Health announcement. But we did finger crossed for the tourism industry if they can easing more restriction in coming May and coming June. For instance, change the test on arrival to another kind of the test like professional ATK or the self ATK at the airport or designated hotel, or even test before boarding the plane. Present that their own self-test. I'm just in talk with Kun Non from Thaiway in this regard as well. So next, please. That is also about the measures of Thailand. We start from Phuket Sandbox, and now what about the communication concept? This year, as I mentioned, is special occasion. We launched these amazing new chapters, Visit Thailand Year 2022 in World Travel Market last year in November, London. But unfortunately, the Omicron came across the globe, so that means everything has to be delayed, and it's under discussing and under talking with the relevant agency and the government organization to maybe extend the Visit Thailand Year to 2 years. Visit Thailand Year could be extended to 2023 as well, get more time and chance for the supplier to improve themselves and also to welcome the tourists to Thailand. So that is also about the Amazing New Chapters. What is the concept behind Amazing New Chapter concept? To be honest with you, Thailand has very popular to the repeated tourists from time to time. It's like everyone here kept on coming to visit Thailand every year, and they look at the wording of Amazing, A and Z in the middle of the wording Amazing. Every single tourist are very familiar with Thailand. They come to Thailand almost every year, been there, done that, stay at the same hotel, book at the same table dinner, with the candlelit dinner with the same, of course, couple, every year. That is what the perception of Thailand. But we're trying to shift the paradigm to another paradigm of Thailand, the new chapter things here in Thailand. And then we just pull out those A and Z letter in the middle of Amazing to create the experience menu. That means from A to Z, A to Z, Thailand has it all. We just define A to Z to every single experience depends on the tourist behavior, lifestyle to provide them with those kind of experience in Thailand. So later on, as I mentioned, the short video will give you more clear pictures of Amazing New Chapters, but I think it's not that ready at the moment. But at the very beginning of the Amazing New Chapters, we create the chapters of Thailand from A to Z. We start with the 3 chapters at the moment. By that time, when we launch in London, the A letters is awaken your senses, and then the B is beyond expectations, and C is craft your imaginations. That is related to the tourism segmentations. The A, awaken your senses. That's when every single tourist, when they visit to Thailand, they're going to get the new experience of Thailand beyond expectation. By that time, everyone might think the measure of Thailand are very complicated, are very complex. You know, at the airport, they might have to stay for more than 1 or 2 hours, but in fact, they're not. Beyond the expectation, that means it's only 20 to 30 minutes maximum at the airport by that time for single passenger who pass all those formalities and every measures at the airport. That's it B. And C, craft your imagination is target the segment of digital nomad, remote workers, just like this is the ideas behind the storytelling, the demand base and value over volume. We focus on meeting tourist needs by emphasizing on quality tourism. And then also we aim to enrich the tourism experience and self-value. That means we first we need to understand them on what is their lifestyle, or their behavior, and then we're going to shape the supply to match with their needs or their demands in terms of the tourism. So, and then I think the most important thing is not just the storytelling to match with their enrich the tourism experience and self-value. I think the BCG model is one of the key strategic moves for Thailand as well. The BCG is kind of bio-circular green economy in terms of tourism industry, such as the health and wellness, tourism, responsible tourism, and gastronomy tourism. That is an example of the story to tell to the tourists, which I'm going to explain with the short video later on. So next, please. Delicious food, facilities, and infrastructure suitable for work and travel. And we do believe that in Thailand here, as you experience here, we have we are one of the most working place here in Thailand as well, with the full infrastructure of internet and also the connectivities. Also, for the long haul market, we also working, including Thai Airways, with the airlines to promote the tourism in Saudi Arabia, the new market after 32 years. Connectivities again, by conducting a roadshow to create awareness and promote medical tourism and health beach destination to Saudi Arabia. And you know what? On 28th of February last month, I think a month ago, the Saudi Airlines, their inaugural flight, you know, they fly from Jeddah via Riyadh to Bangkok, 3 flights weekly at the moment, and they're going to increase to 5 weekly in the futures, together with Thai Airways as well for the new routing from Saudi Arabia. And next, please. And what about the short haul market? New concept, new chapters, new opportunities. That is, they defined the short haul market into 5 new segments, new area, new partners, new infrastructure, and new transport routes and new way. For instance, with the short haul market, we leverage on test and go entry scheme, highlighting new chapter, new opportunity. The new segments will be targeted, such as leisure or business plus leisure, students, digital nomads, and the soft adventure. New area will be set to attract quality segment from potential market like Mongolia and the South Korea, Busan as well, the new flight service from Busan to Bangkok, and to seek new partners in existing market. New infrastructure, the high-speed rail linking could be allow PDR, and also new way we focus on inspiring millennials to experience Thailand in an environmentally friendly and sustainable way. That is the new concept, new chapters, and the opportunity for the short haul. So next, please. There's only few slides for me, only 3 or 4, ladies and gentlemen. This is domestic. What about the domestic market? The concept to drive the domestic market is XXX or 3X concept. Experience, expectation, extraordinary, and inspire the domestic travel with 3 ideas for tourism product and service. The 3 ideas under XXX, namely NFT, but NFT is not stand for non-fungible tokens in the digital cryptocurrency, but NFT mean and nature to keep, food to explore, and Thailand to discover. That's the concept that we're going to deliver to inspire the Thai domestic travel, including the expats who live and working here in Thailand for this kind of the triple X concept. Unseen New Series promoting new attraction are still very new. We got at least 25 Unseen New Series into the domestic market this year, and much more to come in coming futures. What about the last two slides, ladies and gentlemen? The projections for 2022, as I mentioned. As I mentioned, on the year 2019, the pre-pandemic, the year that we welcome almost 40 million tourists visit to Thailand, and then the international receipt plus domestics is about 3 trillion Thai baht in 2019, 3 trillion, and 2/3 came from overseas market, 1/3 from the domestic. What about this year? The idea is 30%. The target is 30% of 2019 in terms of tourism revenue. And the paradigm changed this year from the majority overseas to domestic, strengthened within, the strong from inside. So domestic market is the key driver this year and the key target for 2022. As you can see from the screen, 1.07 trillion Thai baht target this year, which is approximately 30% plus of 2019, and then 642 billion Thai baht for domestic, about 60% share from overseas, 400 billion Thai baht. This is the possible case scenario. In fact, the working target of TAT under the Ministry of Tourism and Sport, we have the working target, the best case scenario, but I think this is a possible way to happen this year, 2022. And next, please, my last slide of the presentation today. We project that next year, 2023, the tourism revenue will reach around 50%. 50% of year 2019, the pre-pandemic year, when everything is booming and grooming on 2019. So that means 50% by next year, and then we're going to reach the target equal the numbers of 2019 by 2014. And if I mention again, ladies and gentlemen, that is the possible case scenario. Actually, we have best case scenario and working target, challenging target to work with to stimulate and build back the tourism industry to the private sector, small, medium-sized, and large entrepreneurs, and also the large scales of the businesses here as well. So that is my presentation today about the Thailand tourism industry, overall pictures, and the target for the next year. And then at the end of my presentation, as I mentioned, please allow me 2 minutes, Kun Vincent, and ladies and gentlemen, for the short clip video regarding amazing new chapter, Visit Thailand year 2022, amazing new chapters in amazing Thailand. Please, thank you very much.
As the world enters a new era, a new chapter of tourism has begun. Thailand presents amazing new chapters. Thailand has it all from A to Z. Awaken your senses. Start a new chapter to awaken your senses and feel more alive. Beyond expectation. Start new experiences that go beyond every expectation. Craft your imagination. Start new excitement that inspires anywhere, anytime. New expressions of romance. Start a new chapter in life, more romantic than words can describe. Overjoyed with excitement, start a joyful new day where your heart beats to the new rhythms. Pump your heart with flames of passion. Start a new memory that ignites flames of unforgettable passion. Reconnect with nature. Start a new rhythm that reconnects and refreshes your soul with nature. Submerge yourself in local culture. Start new laughter that echoes loudly through local community-based tourism. Experience new chapters of Thailand. Visit Thailand Year 2022. Amazing new chapters. Amazing Thailand.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Kun Sirpakon, for sharing all the things that TAT is doing. I'm sure that will that there will be lots of questions for you after the presentations. One of the little things, that somebody pointed out to me earlier today is that you mentioned domestic and expat campaigns, and I believe you launched a campaign today, right? Aimed at expats in particular. Okay, and I'm sure that the expats in the club will be interested in knowing more about that later. Next, for Thai, Kun Kiripong, would you like to stay where you are, or would you like to join the? Yes, of course. Okay, so we don't usually play musical chairs like this and change around a lot, but we're adding just for a few minutes. Kun Kiripong, who is, please join Kunon. There's a chair right next to him. Or take this chair. And Thai, so Kun Kiripong is director of customer service and marketing. Is that right? Can I get that right? Your title right? At Thai Airways. And they have requested to do the presentation together, and so we don't usually move the panel around this much during an event, but we have planned for it this time.
Okay. Since the aircraft normally fly with two pilots, the captain and the co-pilot is here.
Good evening, it's Non again. Actually, we just would like to update the information how we ready to support and reopening country. Firstly, we have been past a difficult time for 2 years, and now I believe we are ready to rebound. But for Thai Airways, I believe all of you are aware of our situation. So we have to move carefully, okay, and gradually increase our flight. Since January this year, we operate around 900 flights a month, but in March we increased to around more than 1,000 flights a month, and number of passengers we carry for the time being around 3,000, almost 4,000 a day to Suvarnabhumi and Phuket. But trend of visitor to Thailand keep growing and growth. You may see our presentation over here. In Q2, we are planning to increase our flight to be from Europe 54 frequency per week, and with 8 destinations. But in Asia, it's around 123 frequency, and increasing in Q3 to 142. Australia, we just operate to Melbourne of this week, as far as I remember. Totally 55 destinations, and frequency is around 416 flights a week, and Q3 increased to 446. In winter TPI or Q4, we are still working on it, but of course we'll full operate, and we estimate it's around 40% capacity, less than year 2019 to compare. Okay, for Thailand domestic and regional, our sister airline, Thai Smile, will operate on behalf of Thai Airways. Flying time 3 to 4 hours. We are using narrow body instead of wide body, operated by Airbus 320. You may see during within 3 or 4 hours is cover Indochina and some part of India. This is our plan. For domestic as well, we operate by Thai Smile. We using our wide body for long haul only with 4 types of aircraft. Thai Smile, we just launched operate to Don Mueang in last 2 or 3 week, and market response quite very well, and we planning to increase flight depart from Don Mueang coming soon. I would say we will launch very attractive fare in order to promote Thailand destination. If some of you planning to travel tonight after midnight, please go on Thai Airways website and book, pay, and fly. Okay. We have very limited seat, but travel until the end of December. Selling period only 1 month. If you're planning, please sleep late. Okay, because limited seat. Of course, once you book, pay, and fly, you may expect what service of Thai Airways still the same, or any improvement or change. My colleagues who direct in charge of customer experience will give you an idea of what he has been done and what he planning.
Thank you, Khun Non. So let me introduce myself once again. My name is Kittipong. I'm Vice President, Customer Brand and Marketing. So first of all, I must thank FCCT for allowing Thai Airways International to be a part of this great event. I just told Khun Vincent that I myself was here many years ago when I was very junior, and then we were both being sent out to work abroad for quite a very long time. And since TAT has done a great job already, so it's half of my job has been looked after by the TAT promoting Thailand already. So yes, of course, Thailand is amazing. To recap what Khun Non, the Chief Commercial Officer, just mentioned earlier, Thai Airways, we had, to be honest, passing the most challenging time already the past 2 years. We see the light at the end of the tunnel. Now the thing is coming back. Thing is very promising. So as we speak, we had increased the flight, we had increased the capacities. We used our sister airline, Thai Smile Airways, to be a spearhead to operate in Thailand and the regional area, which is flight time ranging around 3 to maximum 4 hours. So it's come to my part, but to be honest, the hottest sale, this is the great privilege of FCCT member who came to know before anyone else in the world, to be honest. In the world, I would say. To be honest, I forgot to put this banner on. He insists me, we have to put them on so that let the guests see what's going to happen. This is a great fair. This is to compliment the government, to compliment the Tourism Authority of Thailand, who put their great effort to invite the people to come to Thailand. So as a national carrier of Thailand, we had our obligation to support the government and to support all the stakeholders, especially TICA, TCEP, and Tourism Authority of Thailand. And of course, it doesn't hurt to let the people enjoy the great fair, isn't it? And let the people to reconnect once again with your loved one, especially those who love Thailand. So I will come to my part. It's about the service. The core conceptual ideas about the service. First of all, we think, according to our survey and research, we think the segmentations of the passenger who will come back first will be the leisure traveler, not the business traveler. According to the data that we see in many sources, after 9/11, leisure will come back before the business traveler. As such, all the proof saying the same thing, that leisure traveler will come back first. So we think our main target market will be leisure traveler. This is also to correspond with the brand positioning of Thailand. Thailand is such a great leisure destination. Thai Airways, we born a leisure airline. We are feminine. We associate with the orchid. We associate with the silk. So I think we are in the mood and tone of leisure. So we will focus on the leisure traveler and how. Our key point is about the Thainess. When you're talking about the two things in marketing, it's about point of parity and point of difference. We try to make sure that whatever we can do it at par to the competitor, we make sure that we be at par. However, at par is not enough. It had to be something different. And our secret weapon is about Thainess. It's about warm and friendly. It's about uniqueness. It's about caring. It's about Thai hospitality. It's about Thai cuisine. It's about flexibility. It's about fun. It's about friendly. So this is all make Thai Airways and Thailand to be one. So our key component is leisure traveler. Thainess is our secret weapon. As such, whatever we design the product and service, we will play around this circle. So we will have a new upgraded in-flight entertainment system, IFA. One thing that I would like to share with you, since I had been in charge on this department almost a year now after the rehab plan, like Kunnon, we spent over 20 years abroad as a general manager in different countries. When we come back to Thailand, this is a time that we want to do that, or those things that we can't make it happen when we are the general manager abroad. So one of the things that you're going to enjoy on board Thai Airways flight, it's about the crafted playlist, the music. I'm the one who enjoy cocktail. I enjoy drink. I enjoy coffee. So sometimes probably you want a music that complement your drink. So we will have that on our flight. That is about the upgraded in-flight entertainment system. So the meal also been upgraded. For example, we did some survey. We know that the passengers concerned about the touchless thing. People doesn't want to touch anything. It's about hygiene thing. So people can see the menu digitally. The digital menu is in place. You can even pre-order the meal. Before that, you can't do that on Thai Airways. At the moment, we limit the capability for the flight ex-Bangkok only. And in addition to this, the e-reading platform is come to in place by the 1st of June. You will enjoy lots of magazine, lots of newspaper digitally. You can download on to your own device. And the next thing that I want to show you is about coffee. Kun Vincent had be our guest before, enjoy this one. I'm very proud to share with you this interesting story. Never before, this is the first time ever that we going to serve. In fact, we already serve the special exclusive blend coffee we call Black Seal Blend. We work closely with the Mae Pha Luang Foundation for the late, Mae Pha Luang is the heavily loyal grandmother from Chiang Rai in the north. If you know the great royal grandmother, the mother of the late King Bhumibol, the Mae Pha Luang Foundation had gave the opportunities and educate the local people, the tribal people in the north, especially in Doi Tung, Chiang Rai, to grow coffee sustainably instead of opium. So we feel that as a national carrier, one of our obligations is to support the people, the local people, give them a job. So two things happen. We work with the master barista of the Doi Tung. I personally asked them, I want a special coffee. I want something tasty. I want something delicious, especially tastes good when you drink it at the 33,000 feet. Can you make it? And then they said, I try. So finally, we comes up with the blind tasting, and then we finally got this delicious coffee. We called it Black Seal Blend. It's a magically smooth. It's Arabica, 3 types of blend, medium, light, and dark roasts. But they, even now, they won't tell me their formula, but they said they keep it secret. But it tasty, smooth, it's delicious. So you can enjoy it next time when you fly Thai. This is one of the good example. And yes, of course, when I arrive FCCT tonight, as we speak, none of you drink cocktail. I enjoyed 2 gin and tonic along with Kun Non before. I observed, then I think most of the people enjoy beer. First I have Heineken, and then second I go for beer lounge. So, Thai Airways, we used to have very normal cocktail, but however, we think it's fun to come up with something new. For example, this is some of the example only. The first thing we call 89 Aviation Spirit. I named it myself. 89 is the number of my head office in Vipavadi Road, because I invented this formula. Inspired by the world classic cocktail Aviation, which is the name itself is about airlines. Aviation, coincidentally, the color of this cocktail is purple. It's a corporate color of Thai Airways. And we replaced the creme de violet syrup with our signature butterfly pea lamage. So the color is still there, the purple. The taste still delicious. It's a gin base. So we think to add some spice on that, so we top up with some champagne, so it make it Aviation Spirit. The second one is called Smooth as Sail. What is it? It's a rum base. This is the very interesting cocktail. rum meant to mix it with the citrus or the fruit juice. Because the rum, if you are a cocktail drinker, rum normally it use molasses from the sugar cane, so it will perfectly match with those fruity, very citrus fruit. So we adapt the unique way of Thai people eating fresh fruit. I think you guys has been living in Thailand for a long time. Pig กับเกลือ is mean the special mix sugar and salt with a lot of chili flowers. I think we are the only one in the world who enjoy the food with that kind of thing. As such, we use an old-fashioned glass. We rim it with the special mix, so it makes it very tasty. So when you enjoy it,
next time we should invite you for a tasting rather than a.
we're more than happy to invite all of you guys. It's about when you drink tequila, it's about, to be honest, suck and lick. When you drink this one, it's almost the same. You have to lick it first and then you sip it. So
when you arrived, you were talking about all the new customer experiences, like the coffee, the cocktails, the fact that you'd like to bring street food, find a way to bring street food. Could you tell us a little bit more about other than the experience on board or in the lounges? Can you tell us more about what's in terms of?
We did some research. We found that we want to be one of the top 5 of the Skytrack in the world. So one good thing is that you need some interesting all-day dining food. So we create a project we call the Food to Fly For. The Food to Fly For. And the Food to Fly For, I start with the street food. We work closely with our in-house chef and also the chef with the foreign station, focus to nothing but street food of all the countries around the world. Particularly, it is called From Street to Sky. From Street to Sky, the Food to Fly For. As we speak, we try to do a lot of experiment to make pad thai very tasty, very good, especially at the 33,000 feet. I know something is challenging, but we make it there. We'll probably, if you guys want to be a guinea pig, welcome to join us on board and try it. So that is what we mentioned earlier. A part of the food, cocktail is there. Next, please. The tour. People need a tour, especially the new normal, the COVID thing. We see people, there will be some people who would like to enjoy the package tour instead of go solo. So Royal Kit Holiday is our tour department. At the moment, we have the package tour readily available that passengers from anywhere in the world can go to Thai Airways website, book the RT-PCR test with one night stay in the hotel. Easy. Even when you arrive Bangkok, you want to do excursion, when your test result comes up with negative, you are free to go. You're more than happy you can book the tour. And another icon that I just showed to you, sorry, is written in Thai. Tomorrow, we're going to sign the MOU with one of the media, very big media camp in Thailand, Mati Chon,นะครับ. Royal Kit Holiday, as a national carrier of Thailand, we think we should focus on 3 types of tour package: cultural-based tourism, culinary-based tourism, and experience-based tourism. Tomorrow, we're going to sign MOU with this Mati Chon Academy, who had a very good connection with those university professors in history. So we will do nothing but the tour about the story, about the history of Thailand. Deep in detail. We want to take the people who want to be Indiana Jones in Thailand to explore and excavate all those historical sites in Thailand. So And in addition to that, you got the tour, you got the food, you got the flight. Royal Kid Plus will launch something interesting this year. Two things, we call it the experience. And second thing, we call it the exclusive offer. The experience, for example, this is the way that we want to engage with our member. We got 4 million members around the world. Based in Thailand is around 1 million. So the experience, it's about small, easy, cozy event. As the example in this picture, we organized a small event with the Michelin star chef, and to support TAT as well, Michelin star, that thank you TAT to bring Michelin star into Thailand. So the member, they made the payment, they pay, and sometimes they get some discount to the point deduction, and they get experience. One and only, very exclusive. And the last thing is, we also, as we speak, against our odds, despite all the difficulties, Royal Kid Plus still, by destination reader survey 2022, we are one of the top 5. We are number 4, and we would like to thank you for the support. So hopefully I just share with you the update of Thai Airways. So with all these components, we are fully ready to support TAT, all the fellows and all the team to welcome all the guests around the world back to Thailand, safe and sound. Thank you, Kap.
Thank you very much. Hold your questions for the end of the presentations. And thank you for everybody who's following us online and in the club, because I know that we're running a little bit behind the schedule that we planned. Also, just a reminder, anybody who's watching online, if there are some technical difficulties, try the YouTube channel, the FCCT events YouTube channel. I think the problem is all right because I've been following on my phone. I think the internet problems we were having are working all right, but if you're having an issue still, please go to YouTube. Next, Jackson, would you like to say something about? Sure.
So a little bit of a different format for us, so just an introduction of who I am and what I do. So SHR, as I mentioned, we have 4 hotels here in Thailand. So a few years ago, we created our homegrown brand, which originally started in the Maldives. Sai is what it's called. So we rebranded 2 hotels in Thailand last year in February. So this is Sai PP Island Village, as well as Sai Laguna in Phuket, which of course is in Laguna. And then recently last year in November, we rebranded the Sai in Samui, and our kind of flagship hospitality brand, kind of our luxury segment, is the Santiburi in Samui. So that's our footprint here in Thailand. It's been a challenging couple years, to say the least. And yeah, we're looking forward to a recovery and finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and we're ready to walk through it. So,
can you say something about what was the most challenging moment in the last couple of years? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, and there,
so, go ahead.
So what do you? What was? What was a memory that you're glad you got over, and what is your best memory of the last 2 years professionally?
So I would say, I mean, we were always trained to open hotels, so we're always ready to open a hotel. I would say the toughest thing is to close a hotel. Everyone knows how to open a hotel and how to launch it, but no one knows how to shut the thing off, right? So I would say that was one of the biggest challenges. Also with that, the whole right sizing of our organizations, a lot of tough decisions were made because of COVID. I was one of the few people that thought, in October this thing will come back. We'll, by Chinese Golden Week, we'll have tourism back, and Christmas will be Christmas, right? And all of a sudden we realized that wasn't really the case. So I would say that was probably the toughest thing. Just a lot of really tough decisions, HR, operationally. So I would say that was the toughest. One of the best moments, I would say, is, for us, I would break this into regions. I mean, recently, I would say we had a very great festive season, right? our team members. You know, they're tough, right? I would say in hospitality, toughness is not something you'd want to use to describe your team members, but that's something that I would say our team is pretty tough. And you know, this Christmas, this New Year's Eve, everyone was really started to get a reward for being tough, right? You have guests coming back to full salaries, back to profitability. So I think that was probably one of the best moments, in not only in this recovery period, but
would you, I mean, as a hotel owner and operator, would you say that there's that experience, you know, all good and bad, has that changed the way you do business, and is it going to change the way you do business durably? I mean, sustainably?
Definitely. I mean, for us, I mean, in Thailand, we're you know, as everyone's mentioning, we're known for a signature type of hospitality, a brand of hospitality, right? We've brought it to a global scale. I think one thing that, you know, this whole situation has taught us is how to be efficient, right? The days of throwing manning at challenges, those days are gone, right? We're having to embrace change. We're really having to multitask. We're having to embrace technology. You know, the whole dynamic has changed. We're never going to be able to go back to the same staffing levels, to the same way we operated, which is good, right? I mean, I think, you know, challenges and adversity brings about positive change, and I think we're, you know, as I mentioned, we're seeing that, and we're stepping through that door. So, efficiency, I would say, is the number one thing that we've gained from this.
And how do you see, you know, what's coming next? This is the next. What, as a business, as an investor, as an owner, what do you see the next 6 months, year, 2 years?
So, I mean, demand is strong, right? I mean, the thing is, there's a few economic issues that are coming up with prices of oil and commodities going up. You know, we're lucky. A lot of the big airlines, they've hedged their oil prices, so it's not like fuel prices are going to start, or airline tickets are going to start going through the roof in the next couple of months. There's a lot of uncertainty there, but you know, there's still a lot of pent-up demand. And as you know, we've all said, Thailand is a great destination for a lot of people. So we're optimistic, right? There's a lot of countries that are opening. You know, India is really starting to churn out a lot of visitors. So I would say it's still difficult, but definitely better than where we've been in the past 2 years. So.
And one last question: if you could change something right now, if you could change something in terms of policy, I mean, other than wave your magic wand and get rid of COVID, which we would all love.
I should have become a dentist.
But yeah, if you know, what one thing would make your business as a hotelier what would make it easier?
I mean, honestly, so I mean, Thailand, you know, we have a huge lack of talent in hospitality, right? I would say Thailand as a destination, you look at the amount of startups, the amount of the technology that's growing here and being homegrown. You know, hospitality has always kind of had a bit of a challenge in terms of attracting the top talent. I would say something that would make my life a lot easier is just, you know, I recently attended the Thai tourism fair, and you saw a group of students that were, I mean, switched on, eager to be a part of hospitality. Can we clone these people and have like 10,000 more, right? That would make life a lot easier to have people that are, you know, highly skilled and want to get into hospitality. I mean, these days it's like, you know, if you have a college education, you want to get a job at Google and Facebook, you don't want to go work at a hotel. So if we can start to change that perception, life would get a lot easier.
Excellent. Is there anything else you'd like to add at this point, or you save yourself for questions?
Save for the questions.
Okay. Well, then I'll start with Kun Max at where I ended with you, which is, you know, obviously this has been a difficult two years, in particular for MICE, for meetings, incentives, conventions, exhibitions. So beyond the obvious, you know, there hasn't been much business travel at all. What would make a difference to your sector, your industry right now? If you could change something that is changeable, in terms of policy or in terms of the way things work, do you have a wish list? Do you have a magic, like, you know, my job would be so much easier if this?
I think, first of all, thank you for having me, and it's a difficult year. So if you ask me that question, what my answer will be is like maybe a policy. When I say policy, I mean I think the government need to understand the private sector a little bit more when it comes to the MICE sector. But fortunately, we have the TSEP, who has been representing our side of the travel or the tourism. So I think policy is not everything. It's more like changing some policy to suit.
Could you, I mean, just for anybody who doesn't know, could you explain the difference between TSEP and TICA and how you work together?
I'm sorry?
Could you explain the difference between TSEP and TICA and how you work together, just in case people don't know?
Certainly. So if you don't mind, I have some presentation, just a very brief one, and I come back to your question on that, how policy in what segment. And so when it comes to business events, or we call it in the past like meeting and incentive, convention and exhibition. So we, TICA, or the Thailand Incentive and Convention Association, we are the private sector representative or the non-profit organization, which I think we are now celebrating 38 years of the establishment. So we established in 1984. When it comes to who we are, I mean, we are actually one of the who and who of the MICE industry when it comes to, you know, MICE or meeting and incentive convention. And we actually one of the voice of the industry in Thailand. We are the representative of over 500. As of today, we still maintain a very good number of the members, which is 523 members, and in which we have a majority of the hotel. When I say the hotel, it means that all the MICE hotel, the large or the medium to the large size scale of the hotel, who has the facility to welcome all the MICE visitor from overseas into the country. And also we have a good number of the agency, or in MICE term we call it DMC, or stand for Destination Management Companies, who are very specialized in handling all the MICE activity, MICE visitor, all the big like gathering of the companies such as like, you know, as you know, Amway, Herbalife, Microsoft, when they have any big events or big gathering, meeting, or incentive into the country. So they are the specialized agency who handling, you know, those kind of requests and activities. Also, we have a good number of venues. When it comes to venues, all the big Bitech, Impact, the QSNCC, or the Paragon Hall, all those are the venue that will be suitable for the number E or the C, which is convention or the exhibition. And of course, the other in the membership, which is like, you know, Airlines, or we also have to thanks to Thai Airways, who are actually the founding organization who made TICA in, you know, 38 years ago happen, you know. And of course, others like restaurant, educational, some of the, also the universities and local attractions. What we have to provide to the members, just a little bit brief, we provide a community-based kind of gathering and, you know, get together and build a voice of the industry to the government, to the, you know, the CVB or the Convention Visitor Bureau, who are responsible in our segment. Right before the TSEP, we work very closely with the Tourism Authority of Thailand, and also I must thank to TAT, who also, you know, make TICA happen at that time and work very well with us. But right now we shift to maybe work more into the TSEP on this sector alone, I think 10 over years ago. And of course we have education, we have training, we have a lot of certification program that we work with the TSEP. And for us, we actually want to build this MICE for the Thailand to be a very sustainable business in the long run, meaning that we want to work with the government to build some of the marketing activity, to build some of the, you know, skillful kind of resources and the next generation for the MICE industry in the future. So we work along with them and then come up with so many programs and, you know, collaboration. So when I mentioned about TSEP. So TSEP stands for Thailand Convention and Exhibition Bureau, who report directly to the Prime Minister Office and reporting to the Deputy Prime Minister on this kind of MICE or business event activities, forecast, targeting numbers and activities. So we actually happened before TCEP happened. When TCEP came, so we worked with them on the policy direction from the government, and we work with TCEP to work with our private sector members to make sure that whatever policy activity that the government has given us happen. And we work with them very well when they, I think they are now 14 or 10 over years of the establishment already. So I mean, unfortunately, they couldn't be here today, but they are one of the very active kind of organization for MICE or business event industry for Thailand. So before I come back to you, 2 years ago, it was very, very tough for all the MICE players, especially like DMC or hotel. But as a non-profit organization, we have to help and support our members. So we work very well with TCEP, organize so many activities, because we believe that communication have to remain. We cannot be silent. Our customers are waiting to hear from what is new, what is happening in Thailand. So we organize many activities, such as all the virtual, activities to our members and to our customer overseas. Because majority, I think 90% of our customer base for the TICA members is the overseas clients. So all this activity that we have done in the past, we still organize the virtual, gathering, we organize the virtual site inspection, we organize the virtual familiarization and all those. So this what we have been doing with TCEP, because we want our member to be still benefit from being our members, and also to know that the customer is there, and the customer still know that the member of TICA is still active, and we are ready when the things are coming back. So we also work very hard on the other one. TICA stands for Thailand Incentive and Convention. So we have to represent two letters in the MICE, so incentive and convention. We also work with many private sector to build what we call the bid agent, because convention, we cannot come to Thailand without any kind of agency or the professional conference organizer. So we build this kind of community to have the agent ready when any convention or conference business coming back to Thailand. So that's this one of a very successful activity that we form them, we establish from maybe a normal DMC or a normal travel agency to be more professional when it comes to professional to handle the convention or the conference one. And of course, this some of the support that we have launched. Recently, we also work with TCEP on forming some of the very, very significant kind of, alliance, so we call it Asian Convention Alliance with the other countries, like Malaysia, Taiwan, South Korea, and of course TCEP and TICA is one of the key kind of stakeholder for this MOU. So we formed this, we call ACA, and we plan to work with TCEP to expand more into the ASEAN, partners that maybe we didn't have Singapore yet, maybe, in the future. But this is one of the activities that we have been doing during the, the lockdown or no activity or no convention business into the country. And as we speak today, TCEP and TICA has already organized the first ever in-person, fam trip or the familiarization trip that we have with the over 30 MICE agencies from around the world. We had 2 from United States, we have from Australia, we have a few from Singapore, Philippines, Indonesia. So they already now in Thailand. So for the incentive one from the meeting and incentive, we have in Bangkok, and they are now in Phuket. I think they are leaving tomorrow. And for the convention, we have also all the big convention players from overseas. We have from Canada, we have from Singapore. So they also now enjoying the refresh of the Thailand MICE facility in Thailand right now. So this is who we are. And coming back to your question about what if the policy can change. For me and for the MICE, we just want to ease some of the process into organizing the MICE activities, such as, when we're talking about the big movement into the country, a lot of problem will happen, of course, like the queue, the visa, the custom. So all this is still the problem from the beginning until now. But that is not going to be changing very soon. But this is something that I think, if you ask me about the policy or what will make our MICE business better, is changing some of the policy to ease the MICE business better and easier, like the other countries.
For example, what would make that process easier?
Visa. In some of the country that we need to have some of the special visa permission, for example, like India. I think China is also one, but I think it's a little bit more complex for China. But because my business is very much into the Indian, and they really, really like to come to Thailand more and more. If this is, but I think, yeah, so this one of the visa, if you can make that, easier for the MICE, especially because for leisure they can come because it's a smaller group. But when it comes to MICE, when the big group movement, a long process needs to be done for the visa application as a group or the visa on arrival event. So this is, if you ask me, but I know it's not that easy to change. But if you ask me promptly, this is one of the things, visa regulation.
Okay, so can I ask you another, is that all of your presentation? Or?
Yeah,
okay.
So this is...
okay, so let me ask you just one question, because MICE and in particular usually involves big groups of people, as you were just saying. Do you see that segment coming back, those kinds of the big events that used to, that Thailand used to be really popular for, do you see that coming back, or do you see that coming back in a different form because people aren't going to be traveling by the hundreds or the thousands to go to one event?
Okay, so first and foremost, if you ask between the MI, C, and E, which sector will come back first, I would say the incentive travel. But I have been speaking to many customers, including the one that I have met them during this fan meal as well. They've been asking, and they've been waiting for the country to give the clear instruction about what will be the regulation for them to come back. I've been speaking to a few customers, like some of the MLM, that they really want to come back already, but they're still not sure about how many people can we have in the country, and when the clear direction and guideline will happen. For example, right now, some of the province allow 500, some of the province only allow a few, or 10 or 50. So it's really unclear when it comes to international one. So if you ask me, they want to come back, but they're just waiting for the clearer direction or regulations or what you call restriction that's gonna happen from our government. I have been speaking to TCEP almost every week because my customer been already asking, Max, I have a customer, but how many people, and in what area, and what are the procedures that they need to do to bring the group back to Thailand? So, yeah.
So simplifying that would also help.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Max, and thank you everybody for your presentations and for your insight. If you have any questions here in the room, there's a mic in the room. If you have any questions online, we are monitoring those. I'm going to start with a question online that I got by email, and I just want to preface this by saying, when you're asking your questions, you consider the fact that this panel from Thai and from TAT is the marketing agency of Thailand. Nobody on this panel is a policy maker or decision maker. Everybody on this panel, however, is consulted about policy. So keep that in mind when you're asking your questions. You may not get all of the answers that you hope you can get, and that is possibly the question of the case for the first question that has just turned off. That I was emailed. This is from Nian Hendricks of the Bangkok Post, and she asks, why is Thailand lagging behind in COVID reforms, and when it comes to opening the country, to tourism, considering that the industry and the economy is still on its knees. So she's like, why are we doing this more slowly than anybody else, or than other countries? And are we doing it more slowly and more? Are we lagging behind, as she asked? Would anybody like to comment on that? Keeping in mind that none of you are, none of you is the policy maker. But I was starting with a very direct question. Please go ahead. Jackson, go ahead.
Yeah, let's just preface. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. I think the thing is that what country did get it right? So as the benchmark, I think it's look, COVID has been an evolving animal that it's really difficult to tackle, right? Tourism is definitely important for this country. I think slow is maybe incorrect. I mean, there's a lot of factors that we have to look at, right? Vaccination rates, we didn't have the same access to vaccines as some other countries. There were a lot of factors that we had to take into consideration, but looking at the progress that we've made, given the situation, I would say it's not bad, right? Of course it can go faster. I think everyone here sitting here would want it to go faster. But at the same time, I think the priority of the country and the powers that be, they're prioritizing the safety of people and limiting the spread of COVID. And in that sense, there's not a whole lot that you can critique, except that there's an impact, right?
Well, as other countries are opening, we mentioned Malaysia and Laos and Vietnam opening up tomorrow, Singapore doing away with its VTLs. And public safety is obviously the overriding issue and concern, but is there something that you feel that Thailand, that is making the process slower in Thailand, or maybe not at the same, maintaining a test on arrival, things like that, that a lot of people feel are a deterrent to coming to Thailand? Anybody want to comment on that?
Maybe I share this one, sorry. But first, I like to correct that policy. It's on my personal view. I don't want to make myself in trouble or my association. Absolutely. Okay, so when you ask that, I think I have one very, very recent sample that one of my customer called from Singapore. Max, I want to know, can I bring my 10,000 people back to Thailand in 2023, next year? But I said, okay, I need to check. But I said, and then I have to talk to TCEP to have some guideline or some direction. And then the customer said, you have to let me know by next week, because otherwise I will go to Singapore, because they already have a clearer instruction of how many MICE group coming back. So I think we are doing the best we can, but it's just maybe not fast enough with the situation that happening with the infection rate. So to me, I think it's difficult right now with the numbers that increasing. But what I need is just maybe a guideline, because what the planner or the big MICE planner that want is just some guideline. Of course, they can change, and then that can be also something that can change later with some of the advance notice. So to me, I think we are doing the best, but maybe we have to look around the neighboring country as well. So,
okay. Question from the room, please.
Hi, I'm Lekha Shankar. My question is related to the Indian market, because I write for a newspaper in India. In fact, I attended a recent tourism panel with Kuntanet Petsuan, and he was saying with the war in Europe, the focus is now on the Asian market. With the Chinese tourists not coming, the Indian market is very important. So I wanted to ask each of you, like you said, the MICE market is huge in India, especially the incentive market. And they're all just waiting to pour in. And the Omicron virus is totally kind of under control in India, so they're just dying to get out. And Thailand is hugely popular. What is TAT? What are your marketing strategies for India? And I also wanted to ask Thai Airways, because there's not enough information on flights, the new flights, the many flights, lots of announcements. When are you actually starting the commercial flights? Is Thai Smile also going to the secondary destinations? Because I think that is the main stopping factor for the Indian market. They're just ready to come, but there are not enough flights. And I think the wedding market is also very big, but this Thai Pass is a hindrance, because one-day tour for groups, big groups, is a lot of money. So I just wanted to know how TAT and TSEB and, TICA and Thai Airways, if you could say something about the importance of the Indian market and how you're going to develop it to get them back, because obviously they are important at the current moment. Thank you.
Okay. So let's start with TAT. Thank you very much for that question and suggested as well. Regarding the specific market of Indian, which actually in charge by, of course, you mentioned his name, Deputy Governor for the short-haul market, East Asia, Khun Thanet Petsuwan, he's looked after for Indian market. But for TAT, I think the key strategic move is also about the ease of traveling. The ease of traveling is the key. Remember that when we opened the Test and Go scheme, we opened to every single source market, but we're still facing a big challenge and also the problem with the air travel bubble, because there are some rumors in the market that Thailand are not allowed the airlines to fly to Thailand from some specific source market. That's the rumor. We try to find out the root cause, the problem, what is the key challenges. And up to the moment, we in cooperation with the airlines and also the CAAT to solve the problem step by step. Until last month, since last month, the cabinet has approved the air travel bubble agreement between Thai and India. So this means at the moment all the flight start with the charter flight can fly, to and from Bangkok and India, and that is one of the key strategic moves that we try to find the key challenging and solve the problem step by step to meet the ease of traveling strategies. So and then and as you mentioned, what TAT has been doing to boost or stimulate the Indian market, the numbers of roadshow, the numbers of the trade show has been set up to Indian market, both hybrid, both on-site and online world show, and also the roadshow as well to Indian market. I'm just would like to reassure you that TAT has been looking in every single opportunities from each source market. In particular, the Indian market is the key strategic move for this year under the Deputy Governor Thanet at the moment, as I speak in talk with him. Another key challenging, just like Kun Max mentioned, the visa policy, visa procedures. That's another key challenging that we would like to solve step by step as well in terms of the e-visa policy. So we're trying to make the visa much more easier than at the moment. The e-visa is looked after by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and also the visa on arrival looked after by the TOMO, the current immigration office, for those VOA, visa on arrival as well. Both of the organizations and the relevant agency, they are under discussing to launch the e-visa to make everything much simpler and easier for the tourists to come to Thailand. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For Thai Airways, we resume our flight to Delhi. Okay, so Delhi will operate a daily flight from 27th of March already. Okay, Mumbai, operated by Thai Airways. Some flight operated by Thai Smile from Hyderabad to Bangkok, Bombay to Phuket is operated by Thai Smile, and Calcutta to Bangkok will operated by Thai Smile. Started already. Yes. Chennai and Bangalore are operated by Thai Airways. This already. Yes.
Just to take off the mask. Well, let me add to this. For us, Thai Airways, India is always very key market to us. Calcutta, as we speak, is one of very first destination when we launched Thai Airways in 1960. So, as the government has more relaxations on the border entry, and the good news is probably Deputy Governor of TAT, Kun Thanet, haven't told you yet. Once again, FCCT tonight will be the first one to know. Friday the 8th of April, TAT by Deputy Governor Thanet will come and sign MOU with Thai Airways and Thai Smile to penetrate the Indian market together. So we will, three of us, we join force. In addition to the flight from India to Thailand, we also arranging our sister airline, Thai Smile Airways, to accommodate very convenient connection for this Indian customer. Because we know that Indian customer love beach, love Phuket, love Krabi. So Thai Smile, our sister airline, always there to accommodate the demand. So convenient connections, partnership with TAT and TCEP of course, to work closely side by side. As we speak, if I'm not wrong, we're going to Satay, the exhibition in May together, and to announce something very exciting, but I can't tell you at the moment. Let me conclude the deal first, and then we tell you.
Can you tell us what the subject of April 8th will be?
It's about the very good privilege of Indian customer who would like to come into Thailand, and that will be a secret weapon of Thai Airways and Thai Smile and TAT, and that is the key weapon to support, to facilitate the travel between the two countries.
We will announce soon.
Like I think you need to get an invitation to the April 8th. You need to whatever the announcement is.
Thank you.
Okay, for me,
Yes,
before
sure,
I
sure.
pass to you,
Yeah,
Kun
absolutely.
Jackson,
Yeah.
quick one. For MICE, I think apart from East access that Kun Sirapakorn already mentioned, the second thing is about Indian people will love the new destination, new activities. I spoke to them yesterday. They said, I really want some new destination. And also the same, like my client in India was always looking for some new hotel, new activities, new program that they can explore. Because to be quite frank, Bangkok, they mentioned, they quote, they've been there. They want some new destination. And the second thing I would say is about cuisine. We need to make sure that, you know, all the mice from India will have a great Indian cuisine as a compulsory, as well as the other cuisine that some of the group will always, you know, accept that. But majority have to have the Indian cuisine. So these are the two things that, especially my company, will focus on that the most. Like always come up with new program, new destination, new hotel for the Indian mice client. So if you ask me.
Could I just say something about that as well? Because TAT was present at an Indian market fair about 2 weeks ago, I think, and it was that was organized by the travel agents, the ATA, the Association of Thai Travel Agents, and by the Thai Hotel Association, and they were saying exactly that. That you know, one of the key things for the Indian market, obviously, is because so many people have specific dietary needs, that obviously hotels and DMCs have to be sensitive to those needs for people to come. It's you know, they have to eat when they get here, so the food has to fit their dietary requirements, which seems obvious but isn't in lots of places. And talking about different products, I mean, obviously, we haven't really touched on it very much, but weddings are a huge, you know, Thailand is a destination for Indian weddings, is a huge market, and people are just anxious to come back and do big weddings. And Max also mentioned, you know, having other destinations and other products. And one of the things that I saw, you know, just one example, that one travel agent, one DMC is doing, is a lot of Indian movies are shot in Thailand. There are a lot of, and so apparently, and I don't have any details yet, but there's going to be, or there is a tour of these cinema locations. So you know, you can come. You've seen these wonderful movies at home, but you know they were shot in Thailand, and now you can join a tour to see those locations. So that, and specifically for Indian film. So that's one example. Would anybody like to add anything else about India before we move on to the next question? Okay.
One thing, sorry,
okay.
It's about value for money. I think the Indian will love this kind of packages. Not packages, more like what we can give in order to, you know, value back with what their budget have. So this is one of the strategy that's very important when dealing with Indian, in particular, because they're very good. They always like spend a lot, but we need to make sure that this budget is give them some value added, you know, services or something. So this is what make me win most of the project from Indian market. I mean, I'm just personal, you know, strategy that I would like to share.
Except the wedding market.
Yes,
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Right.
No, the wedding market is clearly, you know, spend
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
much as you possibly
That's right.
can to have the
That's
most
right.
opulent wedding that you possibly can.
Yeah, that's
Agreed.
right.
Yes.
True.
And I mean, for what they get, it's actually pretty good value. Okay.
So if I may just add on a little bit on the wedding market, because we have two offices in India, one in Mumbai and one in Delhi. The wedding and honeymoon are the key target segmentation for TAT to move for these coming years, coming years and next year as well. That is the key target segmentation. The wedding, as Kun Vincent just mentioned, that's the key target for TAT. Thank you.
Okay. Excellent. Next question, please.
Peter Trainer, a club member. I'm an expat resident in Bangkok, and as a lot of people come to Bangkok, and a lot of expats who are in Bangkok use this place as a hub, as a center for traveling around the region, around Southeast Asia. Prior to COVID, it was very easy, very cheap, very convenient to be able to travel to all the adjacent countries. Obviously, since COVID, that has all stopped. In addition, because of global warming and climate change, the ease of travel was going to change anyway because of the awareness of the environmental impact. COVID has just made it a bit more sudden. I've got the general question for the panel and a particular question for Thai Airways. Each of your individual industries has a lot of practical problems in dealing with climate change and the environmental considerations and COVID. Are you individually making the government aware of your industry's practical problems? Not just the general situation, but the specific problems relating the factors I've just mentioned, the impact they have on your businesses, and are you getting a positive response from the government? And as an example of that, picking out Thai Airways, when I was picking flights before, unfortunately, I didn't choose the flight based on the quality of the cocktails and the pad Thai. I based it on the cost, the frequency of the flights, how much cabin luggage you can take on, how much luggage you can check in, the ease of access, the ease of booking, the convenient times of the flights. A lot of those things have now changed because the economies of travelling have all changed for the reason I've mentioned. Again, are you making the government aware, and are you as an individual business aware of the general changes and addressing those changes to target customers like myself or tourists who would arrive here who want to travel further and then come back? And a specific problem that would affect someone like me is insurance. Before, I didn't have to worry about insurance, but now it's a requirement. So if I leave Thailand and want to come back, I have to be insured, and because of my age, it's difficult and expensive, but it's a government requirement. So the question is, generally, are you getting help from the government with these problems? And with Thai Airways, are you addressing the problems?
Thank you. So just to sum up, environmental issues and awareness, costing, and yeah. If you want to say something about cost of flights, and if anybody would like to take a general insurance question, and then we might wind it up there because we've run quite long.
All right, let's start by TAT then. Thank you very much for that concerns of the responsible tourism or responsible traveler. The government, in particular for TAT, we are very much concerned about these responsible tourism or responsible travelers around the world. What we have been in talk with the relevant agencies or the collaboration with some specific organizations, we're going to create the kind of, we might call amazing Earth Point. Amazing Earth Point. Amazing Earth Points. It's regarding the kind of the responsible in every day-to-day operation of each businesses. For instance, we start with the Michelin. The Michelin Guide Thailand, that we've been signed the contract 5 years, just finished our 5-year contract, and we already renewed the contract for another 5 years. 2 years ago, we in cooperation with the Michelin head office in France, Paris, and create the new star of Michelin. Because normally we're quite familiar with 1, 2, 3 star Michelin in red color. But 2 years ago, we initiate the green star. The green star with Michelin, for instance. So that means the Michelin Guidebook Thailand, since year 2020, we have the Green Star Award as well. What does Green Star means? Green Star means they inspect on day-to-day operations of each restaurant. Of course, it's quite small businesses, but it's better to start, without any, without any obstacle of the policy. So we start day-to-day operation first. They're quite very much concerned about the zero food waste management first. Second criteria is also about they have to use make the most of the local ingredients into their their food and their service as well. So that is an example of if to answer your question, that whether or not the government are concerned about this kind of the problem climate change and some the responsible tourism. That what my quick answer from your suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe you'd like to move on to the part of the question about competitive.
Two things. The current fleet of Thai Airways consists of 58 aircraft, which is all the young generations with the fuel efficient engines with the fuel efficiency. So I would like to share the two key points: what we can do now and what we can't do now. We must admit to the fact. So what we can do now is that we got the new younger fleet of the aircraft with the fuel efficiency. That is the part that we put our effort to reduce the CO2 emission. This is number one. For example, when I touch about the coffee, it's not about the taste only, but why we working with the Dutch Foundation, because the way that they brew the coffee is a way they do it sustainable way. So this is what I share to you is about what I can do now and what we had to wait for a long while. So we got the team of the people in the company who work closely about the carbon footprint, about sustainable, and then they keep monitoring and work closely with some organization. And I am not in the position to admit anything at the moment. So as far as my concern, that's why I share to you two things. Is about the younger fleet with the CO2 emission, which is more fuel efficient, and also the example of the coffee. And in addition to the coffee, when we are trying to sourcing all the produce, we keep this into consideration seriously. This is what I can share to you at the moment.
And to answer the question about competitive pricing, I think that we covered that in the presentation, that there are offers that Thai is anxious to promote, and we won't go into it in much detail as well, but TAT is launching a program that was launched today, if I'm not mistaken, directed specifically at expats with a series of discounts and promotions that are included in that, but you can find details about that later in the media. Just the last part of your question was specifically about some of the requirements that are still ongoing, like insurance, that is complicated and expensive for some people. I don't know if anybody has a comment about that, except for the fact that the hope is that these requirements, all of the test and go requirements, all of the, we pointed out that the pre-departure test will be waived as of tomorrow. The quarantine requirements have been lowered to 5 days. Things are getting simpler. A lot of people are. It's still, the conditions that remain, including the insurance, the fact that you have to book a first night's hotel and a PCR test when you arrive, the fact that you have to self-test on the 5th day. A lot of people consider those things to be deterrents still, and understandably. The hope is, and the prediction is, that requirements will continue to be eased and eventually eliminated. Kun Sirapaka said in the coming months. Let's hope that everything in the next 1, 2, or 3 months will be a lot easier.
Can I add something about the question? I think for my sector, we really implementing a lot of the sustainability development goal, because this is one of the requirements for most of the corporate when they want to plan some meeting or incentive. So what TICA and TCEP has been doing is we educate about the 17 of the SDG goal that we have, kind of using as one of the requirement for the DMC, for the agency, or for the venue to practice and also exercise in their own organization in order to support this part of the the goal that we use that from the United Nations and all. So the second thing for my sector, we also been doing a lot of the standard venue. We have a program called the MICE Venue Standard, which is one of the things that we want to make sure that all the hotels and the venue are practicing some of the energy saving and taking care of their staff and making sure that they're using the local product, which is one of the sustainability element that we need to implement. So this is one of the things that I like to share from your question.
Since we're still on the subject of sustainability, and since we haven't heard from Jackson in a little bit, maybe this is a good place to end, and then, but you might want to say what your group is doing about.
Sure. So, sustainability is okay. So, just to answer your question, we have rising operational costs, right? Normally, things like this you would pass on to the customer in terms of pricing, right?
A little more to it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's, this is how it works with like fast-moving consumer goods. If the cost of transportation goes up, that's normally translated into higher prices at the store, right? For us, is that we're really market pricing based in hotels. So sustainability for us is one of our key pillars, right? In order to be more operationally efficient. So things like solar panels in all of our hotels, we're implementing this to help alleviate the cost of rising fuel prices, rising energy prices, so that we can also mitigate from our side, which also allows us to maintain a competitive pricing, right? In terms of sustainability, something that I've just been introduced to since joining Singa, we have something super unique in Phi Phi. So we have a hotel in Phi Phi, which of course has been really publicized, not only because of Leonardo DiCaprio, but because of the Maya Bay, right? First, the over tourism, the closure of Maya Bay, the return of sharks. So we see the whole evolution of what's happened in this destination. So we actually, 2 years back, we built a marine center. So there we actually breed, bamboo sharks. So the black tip sharks are what you're seeing now in Maya Bay. So we actually have a shark nursery where we breed sharks, as well as a clownfish nursery and a coral propagation center. So we're actually trying our best to contribute back into the local area, repropagating coral wherever there's bleaching. We actually have a strain that's from an island next door called Mosquito Island, which actually mutated. So the coral is actually resistant to rising sea temperatures. And so we're propagating this coral in the area around Phi Phi. And of course, we work with the local authorities, the national park authorities, and so far, I was just down there 2 weeks ago and we released 4 bamboo sharks. So, and not only is this giving back to the environment, with Maya Bay, of course, they're limiting the amount of visitors. So it's kind of a new look to tourism in Thailand, I would say, especially when you compare to what we had in the past 4 years ago with Maya Bay, right? So I would say that's a great story. It's a positive, and I think moving forward, this is where I see Thai tourism really kind of evolving and taking the next step.
Great. Thank you, gentlemen, all of you. Just a couple of quick things. I know we've run so far over time, so I want to thank everybody for staying as long as you have. The upcoming events at the club, there's a press conference with the UNDP tomorrow afternoon at 4:45, I think. And there is, what is the other, on Monday, the EE panel about the situation in the south of Thailand with a panel of experts at 7 p.m. on Monday. With that, I thank you all for your time. Gentlemen on the panel, thank you so much for spending the time and coming and sharing all that you had to share this evening. Thank you to the audience. Have a good evening. Thank you, Cup.
Thank you very much for having us.